Welcome back to Washington Journal. We're joined now by Dina Titus. She is a representative, a Democrat from Nevada. She sits on the Foreign Affairs Committee and a ranking member of the Transportation and Infrastructure Subcommittee. Congresswoman Titus, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Since you're on the Foreign Affairs Committee, I want to start with the seizure of the oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela and get your reaction to that.
Well, I was listening to the president's reaction last night. Doesn't sound like he knows what's going on. He said, well, I guess we'll keep the oil. Well, I guess this is a problem. I guess somebody else made the order. So it shows you how foreign policy is in such disarray. And this attack on this vessel comes after all of the attacks on the so-called fishing vessels or drug-running vessels that have occurred over the last several months, which are outside, really, of the power of the president. He can defend the country, but he's not supposed to be out there initiating war actions like that without telling Congress or the public really what's going on.
And would you consider the seizure of the tanker an act of war, Congresswoman? Because this was a sanctioned tanker, and that that oil was not supposed to be flowing or being sold anywhere.
Well, it wouldn't be a declared act of war, but it would certainly be a conflict, and it's certainly something that the president has initiated. And why now? This has been going on for a long time, and suddenly he's decided to seize it. Now, this whole attack on Venezuela that he says is about drug running, you saw yourself the article on the front page of the paper today. Most of the drugs are not coming through the Caribbean, and so most people suspect this is just a forerunner to trying to get rid of Maduro and do regime change in Venezuela.
And I mean, the argument is that Maduro is not a democratically elected leader. He is illegitimate. He is sponsoring drugs and a narco-terrorist. And I mean, what's your response to that?
Well, you could use that same argument against a lot of people who are in power that the president has cozied up to. So that's not really much of a valid argument. But and also, just because you go down there and maybe we're going to invade, we don't know. He goes back and forth on that. But if you got rid of Maduro, you don't have any guarantees that who replaces him will be somebody that the president likes or will be totally in line with the democratic principles of the United States.
And on to health care now. You have signed on to the discharge petition of Speaker Jeffries for a vote to extend the ACA tax credits for 3 years. Can you tell us where that stands and how much support that has?
You know, it goes back and forth by the hour. There are 3 or 4 different provisions out there. There are 3 just with discharge petitions in the House, several more in the Senate. This, to me, is the cleanest, most straightforward way to get off of the cliff that's fixing to face so many people in my district, where the prices of health insurance are just going to skyrocket without those subsidies.
Well, we wanted to show you a portion of President Trump taking questions from reporters at the White House yesterday about the Republican plan to address rising health care costs, and then we'll get your response.
Okay.
Senate Republicans currently have a health care proposal that would take away, let those ACA subsidies expire, and then put about $1,000 in people's HSAs. Do you think that is enough money, and how do you ensure that people who will see those tax subsidies expire won't see their health care costs skyrocket?
Well, the Unaffordable Care Act, which is Obamacare, they call it now the unaffordable because it's unaffordable. It used to be called the affordable, but it was never affordable. It was always bad. It was basically designed for the benefit of insurance companies. And what we're doing is we want all of the billions and billions of dollars that went to insurance companies to go directly to the people, and they can buy their own health care. And people love it. I don't know if the Democrats are going to approve it because they want the insurance companies to make money. It was a scam. Obamacare was a scam. But we're going to see. I mean, the Republicans, I can tell you, want the money to go to the people. And we're winning that battle. The Democrats are having a hard time with it because they're in the pocket of the insurance companies. Yes, please.
Congresswoman Titus, your response to that the ACA was never affordable and that the Republicans want to give the money directly to the insured and not to the company.
Well, that's the most ridiculous argument that I've heard, but they are very good at misinformation. I was here when Obamacare passed. It passed on a straight party line vote, and they've been trying to get rid of it ever since. Now, we've had about 100 different votes over the last decade to try to do just that, dismantle Obamacare. You remember the big iconic photo of John McCain going thumbs down. He would not vote to get rid of it because he had his own health problems. I can tell you it saved Nevada, because we have one of the highest uninsured rates in the country, because so many people are in the hospitality industry, work several part-time jobs, and don't get employer benefits that would cover their health insurance. This business about being in the pocket of the insurance companies, that's the exact flip of what the reality was. Remember, in the Obamacare, we put caps on how much insurance companies could charge, and we also made insurance companies cover pre-existing conditions, two things they had never wanted to do. We were helping people, not insurance companies. And as far as giving $1,000 to people to put in their own account so they can buy whatever they want, you don't really think that $1,000 is going to make up for health insurance coverage, do you? Because you can't use that $1,000 to pay for your premiums.
And I mean, regarding that there's so many subsidies, though, why would the Affordable Care Act need so much taxpayer-funded subsidies in the first place? Shouldn't it be fixed? I mean, is there something that you would recommend that would make it so that you don't need that much subsidies?
Well, it's a tax subsidy. There are not a lot of different subsidy programs. It's a tax subsidy that was put on to help people during COVID when so many people were unemployed. Now, what's happening now, the president doesn't like to admit it, but the cost of living is increasing. The affordability crisis is a reality. You can't afford groceries, you can't afford your car payment, can't afford your electricity bill, can't afford your mortgage, and why now take away health care in addition to that? So that subsidy can continue until we can address the whole economic situation. Now, as far as Obamacare needing fixing, there may be some things that need fixing. You know, healthcare is extremely complex because the people who need it cover a whole spectrum of problems, and you've got hospitals, doctors, pharmaceutical companies, insurance companies, health clinics, so many different factors that have to be included. But I can tell you this, Obamacare has been working. This is just one more attempt to get rid of it, and they've offered no solution. They have said, well, we'll give you this $1,000 for a savings account, but there's nothing in there to address increasing premiums. And on our side, in the House, you've got Johnson saying, oh, well, we're going to fix it. So he went in with his members and offered them an option, a menu of 10 different things that we are going to look at over the next half of the Congress. So that's not a fix either. And nowhere on that list is bringing down the cost of premiums.